Hi guys, welcome back to another lesson on Scratch. Apologies for maybe the not so clear microphone. My AirPods have decided to not connect. So hopefully you can hear me okay. Otherwise please maybe turn it up a little bit more. But hopefully by next week it should be working again. So just wanted to quickly recap on what we did last week. Now, I know we worked on variables. I know we spoke about how to actually get the variables where they need to be so we can ask a multiplicative question. In this case, I've chosen between 1 and 12 because we're obviously doing our 12 times tables. It can be anything you want it to be. It doesn't have to be multiplication. It can be addition, two-digit numbers. It can be subtraction, division. It can be anything you want it to be. But in this case, I've just done multiplication. But what I wanted to do is sort of expand on what we did last week in terms of the variables. So we've got our sprite, we've got the questions, but there doesn't seem to be a lot happening after we ask those questions. So we put in our number, 14, she automatically goes in and just bangs out another question. We wanted something to happen. We want to make it just a little bit more exciting. And we want to know if we're actually getting them right or if we're getting them wrong. So in this case, or in this lesson, I should say, we're just going to get it to a point where we can have a little bit of fun, where we can keep some score, we can try and get to a target. So what I want to do is I'll eventually change the says, or I might not, we'll put those back in, but I'll leave them out for the moment just so we can keep it nice and speedy. But what I want to do is just expand on the current forever. So we've got our forever, she's going to keep asking questions, she's going to keep banging them out. Let's put in some if controls. So in math, we know generally there's a right and there's a wrong answer. With multiplication, 1 times 5 is 5. We know it's right. If you give it 6, 7, 8, we know it's wrong. So what we want it to happen is if we give the right answer, we want it to be rewarded. If we give the wrong answer, we want to know that we've gotten it incorrect so we can fix it up for next time. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sensing in. I'm going to put an operator in where I want the answer given by the end user to equal the answer that we have told the coding to be the correct answer. So in this case, we can go to sensing, we can find the human or the end user answer, and then we can put the answer in that we have coded it to be. So if our answer equals an answer, we want something to happen. Otherwise, we want something else to happen. So to give it some more context, I'm going to put another sprite in. I'm going to put an apple in because I want our sprite to reach that apple. Now you can put anything you want in. You can pause it, have a little look around. I just want Kieran to reach that apple. So if our answer equals the correct answer, I want our sprite to move forward 20 steps. Otherwise, I want our sprite to go back 10 steps. So as we know, negative is generally moving in the opposite direction. So in this case, we're talking horizontal. Let's start it with 6 times 3, 18. Bang, our sprite is moving. Let's put it in wrong. It's now moving back. So now we've got a bit of incentive to want to get to the apple. We don't want to keep getting it wrong because you're going to keep going backwards. So you get it correct, you get to go forward. And now it's 20 steps forward, 10 steps back. You can make it 40 steps forward, 1 step back, but I want to make it a little bit more challenging because I know you guys are up to it. So let's go that 20 steps forward, 10 steps back. Now, what we could also do is we can start to keep a bit of a score. So what we want is to create a variable of correct, and that way we just get to see our score up the top hand corner. Now, our correct is going to go up by 2 if we get something right, or it's going to go down by 1 if we get something wrong. So in this case, we're going to go change correct by 2 and change correct by -1. Now you don't need this scoring because I believe no matter what the outcome is, if you reach that apple, the score is always going to be the same. But it just shows you another component of the game where you can keep score of you getting to that end value. So pressing start again, we put 22 in, our score goes up, our sprite moves. Again, you don't need that correct scoring, but if you wanted to go off, if you wanted to do off with the apple and just have the sprite, you can then sort of keep a correct answer. And then you could even code it to say once you get to 10, you just win. But in this case, we're just going to try and get the sprite to reach that apple. So what we can do now is we can basically say what happens when our sprite reaches that apple. So I'm going to use another if control. But in this case, we don't want it to be if then something. We just want it to be if she reaches the apple, it's just game over. Done. Start again. So we can use our sensing, which you should be familiar with. If our sprite reaches the apple, and we know we're talking about our sprite because we've got it clicked over here. If our sprite touches the apple, then I would like our sprite to say you've won. You can have it say whatever you want, but I'm going to say you win. Congrats. You win. Let's throw another one in there saying, would you like to play a game? Now, what you'll find is if we press start and I put the correct answer in and I touch that apple, she's going to say, congrats, you win, would you like to play again? And then just start asking questions again. So we want it to stop. We just want the game to finish. If we go back to, control, you'll find that there is a bit of coding saying stop all. So what that means is once you reach the apple, 9 times 7 is 63. What's going on? 88. Congrats, you win. Would you like to play again? Stopped. Finito. But if we press start again, she's going to keep hovering around this little spot. So what we could do in order to make it feel like a more realistic game is we could have her return to this spot over here and then get her to move along again. So let's do that. If you go into motion, you'll see that there is a go to X position. Now, as we know, X is a horizontal line. So I'm going to put her in this position. Actually, I'll start that again, sorry. If we move her here, then our X position on the left will change. If we move her here, the X position will change again. So let's go that starting spot. I think that's a great starting spot. But we also want our correct number to go back down to 0. So if the green flag is clicked, we want the sprite to return back to this spot. But we also want our correct answer to change back to 0. Oops, set. I want it to be set. So let's go set, correct, 0. So let's start that again. I'm going to put her up in the top corner. Our score's at 12. Start, bang, goes back down to 0. What is 11 times 3? So now we can play the game from start to finish. We reach the end. She says, congratulations. Do you want to play again? You press the green flag and you go straight back to the start again. So it's like round 2, round 3, round 4. And before you finish off, put that back in. Hello and welcome. Today we're working on multiplication. I hope you have been studying. And we go straight into the question. So I hope that helps a little bit. In terms of gamifying the experience a little bit, there are so many options you can do. Like I said, you can keep a score. You can have our sprite try and get to this apple. You can even have another sprite above gliding towards another apple. And it's basically a race to see who can get to the end. So in this case, we've just got our sprite moving towards the apple. You've reached the apple. Congratulations. You get to play again. If you don't, you're incentivized to keep trying and get to that apple because you're being pushed backwards. I hope that helps a little bit. If you have any questions, though, please let me know along the way. You can always email me, see me in class. Otherwise, we'll focus on something next week. But enjoy this, have a bit of fun with it, and when I see you next week, we can go through any questions you might have. Thanks.